The big question is, Darren, all the sporting seasons are just around the corner. Are you ready for the season? That's the theme of today. Are you ready for the season?
Are you ready for the season? What
season?
Well, you've got like domestically, you got AFL, rugby league about to enter into their pre-seasons. A lot of people have just come off a long break where they haven't really done as much activity, probably cardio. They've probably been in the weights room, and weights fluctuate throughout the year depending on activity levels and what you're eating. And I think there's probably quite a few athletes out there coming in either undersized or carrying too much body fat for their respective sports. So I think getting optimizing your weight for sport is super important.
Yeah,
I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, you got to complicate that with shredding for summer. Some people, as much as we like to think every athlete out there is, optimizing their body composition to be the best
performance,
athlete.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want abs for summer, right?
It's lower body for basketball, upper body for the beach. That's where it's at.
I think that lives in the back of everyone's mind. So I think it's finding that fine balance between what sort of body type and what do I need to do to optimize performance. But then there's a vanity side of everyone.
But it definitely helps that just exercising in general, the result is twofold. It helps. It's good for sport because you're fitter and stronger, faster, etc. But you also look better. If the opposite was true, I wonder where people would go. If it said the more you exercise, the better at sport you'll get, but the less attractive you are. But I wonder.
But that's not necessarily true for every sport and every position that's out there.
It's a pretty fair generalization. The more you exercise, the better shape you'll be in.
You might not like this, but peak human performance actually looks like John Jones, right? It's not the most aesthetic physique.
Yeah.
He used to have a great physique.
Back in the day. But
He's fucking 40, dude.
He's not. He's 37.
MMA is
40,
a great
come on.
example of multiple different body types and body compositions can still achieve the same athletic or desired outcome.
What if you're a prop in rugby, right? If you're on power, you got to have, if you're on absolute power, you got to have some body weight behind you, right? Like being big is going to help your sport.
Yeah, but you can be in great shape in that position.
Yeah.
So optimal body fat, right, for everyday people for men is probably somewhere between, 12 and 18% for most athletes. Getting below 12, I think you're compromising on athletic performance.
Really?
I think so. Unless weight cutting or minimum body fat levels are required to weigh in to get into a certain weight category.
Well, it depends on the sport, right? Like certain sports, sports that are weight based, then obviously you're going to have an advantage by being very lean.
But in what context is it worth having an extra couple of kilos of fat? Surely, if you're talking
power, you're stronger.
Yeah.
The higher your body weight is, the stronger you are.
Yeah, but body weight. Why not just have a bit more muscle instead of just fat?
But
that would be ideal, would it not?
Having extra fat on you, well, not being in single-digit body fat, is a sign that you've probably been adequately fueling your training, right? And calories help you recover better, and they give you the right energy for training.
That's a good point, because I think to get below like a 12% body fat, for example, you need to be in a calorie deficit, which is not optimal for sports performance. So I think, look, a lot of it is sport-based and position-based. And you look at like a rugby union athlete, even next to like a rugby league athlete these days, rugby union guys, especially the forwards, carrying a lot more, well, that's changed a bit recently too, but traditionally carrying a lot more body fat as opposed to the rugby league athlete. Their scrums are very intense. They're not like they're known to be much more powerful and strong athletes. Whereas rugby league's now a faster game. You need more mobile forwards. They have to carry less body fat than they traditionally did in the past.
But if it's just like strength, then surely wouldn't you rather just have more muscle?
No, think about the strongest powerlifters in the world. They aren't lean because they're adequately fueling. They're having 10,000 calories a day, some of these guys, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what you need to recover, and that's what you need to fuel at that level, right?
But I think you're right as well, Hal, with what you're saying, because it's not all about strength and power. There's a cardiovascular element to all of these sports as well. So the more body weight or body fat that you're carrying in, more oxygen that you need to sort of to fuel that extra weight, right? So you really have to optimize Yeah.
You're just carrying an extra couple of kilos in some
Yeah,
instances.
but a famous quote from the last Rugby World Cup is "Salads don't win scrums," right? It was a T-shirt and stuff.
Salads don't win scrums.
Yeah.
That's so close to that The Simpsons line, "You don't win friends with salad."
Yeah, but yeah, that is a good point what you guys just mentioned, because being lean in general is typically beneficial to your sport, right? Like I was just mentioning the exceptions there where it's probably not going to be that good.
In most instances, the leaner you are, the fitter you are, and the fitter you are, the better you can perform.
Not necessarily. There's a point of diminishing returns, right? Because as we know, the fundamentals of weight gain and weight loss is to gain weight, you have to consume more calories than you burn. To lose weight, you have to burn more calories than you consume, right? Yes, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Then why are you waiting for us to agree with you?
Well, you're too stoic over there.
We're trying to let you finish. I'm good at interrupting you.
Yeah, so basically, like, if you're in this calorie surplus, which means you're adequately fueling, you're going to be gaining weight over time, right? But if you're under fueling, typically you could potentially be breaking down muscles. You might be in a catabolic state. You might be, in the long run, deteriorating your body just to to perform well. And that is actually exactly what happens in certain sports, right? In certain weight-based sports, like some weightlifting events, MMA, boxing, these kind of things, when they want to perform their best, they're at their leanest, and they are, have the optimal power to weight ratio. Immediately after the event, they might, refuel, bulk back up a little bit, so their body's prepared for the upcoming training camps and things.
I think when it comes to team sports, like at a professional level, body weight is monitored so closely.
Yeah,
I think for any recreational or community-based sports people, now is if you are a rugby league, AFL or soccer player and you're about to come into your pre-season, now's the time to look at your body weight and the optimal body weight and body fat percentage that you want to start the season at. Because you probably just spent an off season in the gym trying to put on some muscle, getting more powerful, explosive, faster, whatever. But you also need to take into account the preseason is full of cardio. And over the season, the amount of activity that you're doing is mainly sort of cardio based for a lot of those sports, not as much strength. You will be losing weight throughout the season as well. So maybe you need to carry an extra few kilos at the beginning of the season in order to get you through to the season. Come semi-finals time, you might be that leaner version of yourself that's peaking for the right time of the season. But now's the time to start looking at it. And look, for the most cases, it's people need to lose weight, right? And it just so happens it's the time of year that most people want to lose weight to look better as well. So when we look at...
But it's also the time of year where people tend to, drink the most alcohol, eat the most junk food. And, Christmas time is notorious for candy and all these kind of things.
It's interesting you bring up alcohol. For me is probably one of the single biggest contributors to weight gain that I see in adults.
100%.
100%.
For me personally.
Because it's usually coupled with bad food.
And bad sleep.
Bad sleep. But also alcohol, for people that don't know, it's super high energy. Your body will prioritize getting alcohol out of your system before it prioritizes turning sort of good macros into energy.
It affects your liver, which is the
main driver of metabolism of carbs.
For a second. Yeah, that's responsible for metabolizing carbs and fat.
So you don't want your liver compromised. But then, this time of year as well, you need to find that balance.
Yeah.
But also, like, if I'm just having dinner, that's just dinner. But if I'm having dinner and then beers, I need to eat again later before I go to bed. It makes you more hungry.
Yeah. So what do we do about it? Don't drink?
Well,
don't eat.
You just got to find the right balance, right?
Exactly.
Or limit it to
vodka sodas.
Yeah, keep it away from any training time. Keep it away from nights where you need a really good night's sleep. If you're training the next day or the next morning.
Dude, that's what I noticed about alcohol is if I'm trying to recover from either a big game or any sort of injury, alcohol just kills that. A night out will just diminish any sort of recovery I can get.
Yeah.
Some principles around. Look, most people this time of year are looking to lose a few kilograms of body fat. What are some simple principles that people can implement into their daily routine to now start to look at that coming into the seasons.
Yeah, when it comes to body fat, people think it's as simple as calories in, calories out, which it comes down to that, but it's not as simple as that, right? Eating is fundamentally an emotional thing, right? Especially around this time of year when at almost every gathering that you go to, there's it's centered around food. If there's a wedding, if there's a Christmas party, if there's
I just had this
Boxing Day beers, like everything is centered around food and drink. So yes, it's very hard indeed. But like I said, it's emotional. So one thing you could do at this time of year is prioritize protein, right?
So when you're looking at the macros, protein, carbs, and fats, the easiest thing to probably adjust, right? Protein should be a staple in every meal, right? For a number of different reasons, which I'm sure you go into, but probably the easiest thing to manipulate is your carbohydrate intake.
Yes.
And that has probably the biggest impact on the body's ability to lose body fat as well.
Yeah.
But you don't want to do it in too much of an extreme way. I think you need to find, well, they say a sort of lowering your overall calories throughout the day by, somewhere between 300 and 500 calories as a starting point to get yourself into a bit of a calorie deficit.
Yeah, so we've talked about it in detail in the past, but you have to, if you want to lose weight, you got to get into this calorie deficit. And there's a few tools that you have to do that. Low carb is definitely one way you could do that.
Portion sizes?
Portion size is another way, but it's also very easy to misjudge. Another thing is low fat, right? Fat has more calories per gram than carbs or protein, right? So if you have, less oily food, less fatty food.
Doesn't it have the same as carbs?
No, fat has 9 calories per gram, carbs have 4 calories per gram, and protein has 4 calories.
So if you're looking to remove calories from your nutrition plan, the easiest and most effective way to do that is the densest calories, which is fats.
But it's also very hard to measure fat because there's oil that sneaks into everything. You really don't know unless you're preparing the food by yourself. Again, prioritize protein. That's one way to control your calories as well because it keeps you full. Protein keeps you full for longer. Another thing,
it can slow down the digestion of some simple carbohydrates as well, right? It can help with minimizing the glycemic load of carbohydrates.
That's right. Yep. And also, eating high volume food is always a very important thing to do when you're trying to. If satiety is a problem for you, right? If you're feeling hungry, vegetables, even certain fruits,
leaves, sticks, bark,
things that are like
dirt, anything you find on the ground. Good
dense in fiber.
Yeah. Well, if you think about the amount of calories, per plate, that that's what we talked about.
You want to try and eat the most amount of food with the
least amount of calories.
With physically the biggest.
Yeah, it's going to give you the best nutrition, but not cause you to overspill on your calorie count. So that's why clean foods are much better than sort of your dirty junk foods. I know you can still operate in a calorie deficit by just eating McDonald's or KFC.
And some people do, right? So
but it might. You might only get 1 meal a day compared to 4, which are really good clean foods. So
and there's other tools as well, right? So
liquids, supplements.
No, well, yes, but so
why'd you say no? Sacked.
Supplements are one of many tools, right? But I just said prioritize protein.
Oh yeah, you did too.
We talked about nutrient restriction, right? That's everything we just talked about. Another thing you could do is what everybody refers to as time restriction, aka intermittent fasting, right? So
I like intermittent fasting.
If you limit your calories to a certain window, the idea is that you don't eat over the week. You're going to be eating less calories, right? Typically, how people do this is something like 18-6,
Your math is just appalling for a scientist.
16-8, sorry, 16-8.
For a scientist,
16-8. Sorry, I haven't done it for a while, but so you fast for a 16-hour period, and you only eat during an 8-hour period. So, for example, if you have your last meal at 8 p.m. at night, you're not going to eat again until 12 the next day. So that's a 16-hour period of no food.
I typically do 15 and 9. I find that works spectacularly. Like
Yeah.
between midday and 9 p.m. Because I used to have like an enormous like carb heavy breakfast, like oats or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'd be starving by midday again anyway. So if you just cut out that first meal, people say breakfast is the most important meal in the day. It's bullshit. You're fine with the coffee.
Yeah.
But you don't need that much calories. You don't need that much energy to be sitting around at a desk doing nothing until midday.
Yeah.
You get used to it. It's so easy.
Well, another way you could do it is, you could start with breakfast and then have your last meal earlier on in the day.
Yeah.
I hate that idea.
Well, it's whatever works for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
you
of course,
can
yeah.
structure intermittent fasting however you want, but the overall principle is to, restrict your eating time so that may force you to get into a bit of a routine or a pattern where I'm only eating these times. I've got to have 3 meals within those times, as opposed to I can eat whenever I want. So your tendency to snack and things like that is
100%.
much higher. So I just find like the benefits, a lot of people talk about digestion benefits, giving your digestive system a break. I find it's more just adherence to
Same. For
a
me, it's-
nutritional
it's
plan
a
where you're
caloric
sort of,
restriction.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
I find liquids very helpful. Just water, electrolytes, coffee, teas. Just any warm liquid can be incredibly satiating.
yeah.
Satiating.
Yeah. So, that's why I started with food's emotional, right? Because these different tools work differently for different people, right?
Are you emotional today? Look at the color of his shirt.
I know.
It's feeling
It's a
pretty
bit of a happy,
summery and
bit of a happy
frisky.
color.
You're looking much happier today, actually.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I think it's
I've
it's
just
an
interrupted his thought
optical
process.
illusion. Yeah. But yeah,
Fucking wiggle.
that's right.
So other things you can do is obviously up your output as well,
Yeah.
your exercise output. But I think that comes with, unless you need to do it for your sport to get ready, and you've been somewhat stationary. I think
You're already exercising.
if you're already got a fairly heavy schedule, I think there's some dangers in upping your activity even more just to lose calories. I think that the nutrition adjustment is the better approach while maintaining that activity level that you've done.
Well, actually,
Because overtraining can actually have the opposite effect, right?
yeah, and often what people find is if you just suddenly start adding some cardio days to your existing training plan, you're actually going to feel more hungry and your body's going to be craving more calories and might actually throw you off completely, right?
Oh, but that's more often not because you're expending more calories in the first place.
It makes you
Yeah.
hungrier.
It
I
does.
think doing cardio compared to just weight training burns a ridiculous amount more calories. So of course you're going to be more hungry.
Here's a question. Cardio or weight training to help with fat loss? Or both?
100% cardio.
I'm going to go both.
I'm going to go both as well.
Yeah.
Why both?
Well, the more muscle you put on, the more calories you will burn just throughout the day, sedentary, right?
Yeah.
So the benefit of muscle is much higher than, the 20 to 30 minutes of cardio that you're going to do each day.
20 to 30.
Or whatever you people...
Okay, anyway,
Don't
but-
even bother if you're not going to do 90 minutes on the rowing machine.
If you're going to do 100% cardio, you're also going to be breaking down some muscle, right?
Yeah.
And combining resistance training with cardio can help you preserve some of this muscle.
I think it's a nice
but-
mix of both, but I think if you're only doing weight training at the moment, there's the potential to add 20 to 30 minutes of moderate activity.
Just sit on the bike at the gym after. It's easy. It makes such
For
a big
20 more
difference.
minutes,
Just
yeah.
do an extra couple hundred calories. It's really not that hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 things. One thing is you might be correct in weights and cardio.
Oh, he's
help.
correct.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm always correct.
I do both, but
You might be correct.
In my personal experience, I find that if I'm doing more weight training, I'm more tending to overeat because I'm giving myself the excuses. I've torn my muscles to shreds. I want to make gains. I'm gonna eat, and I end up overeating, and I feel bloated, and I feel like that as a result can be put on weight as opposed to lose it.
Well, that's not a problem with weight training. That's a discipline problem. But anyway.
Yeah,
But I know what you mean.
it's
Yeah.
not my
because,
only one.
because when you're weight training,
You want to
there's-
grow. You want
there's-
to grow.
You
right?
want to grow, so you're then going, shit, I need to fuel myself and feed myself to grow. And then there is this dilemma, right? You face, it's like, shit, I probably shouldn't be eating that much if I want to get leaner.
And then by the time I've had 3 meals in for dinner, I'm like, oh, I forgot I was trying to shred a bit anyway.
Yeah,
But also, you look at athletes who do just weight training compared to just cardio. The ones who do just cardio do look more fit. look at like triathletes or marathon runners. They're
They-
pretty slim. Whereas weight, whereas you can
you
have
rather look like
Would you rather look like George St. Pierre or who's a long distance runner?
Haile Gabriel Selassie.
Oh, I don't know what either of them look like. to be
Yeah,
honest.
okay.
Oh my god.
Well, that's a marathon Olympic gold medalist from previous years. So.
Of course they're going to be ripped, but they have very little muscle tissue as well.
Yeah.
So it's finding that balance between and this is what we're talking about, right?
I guess it's your personal goals, hey?
Yeah.
That's it. Yep. If you're a big front rower for a footy team, I think you're less worried about having a six pack and more worried about what weight can I smash people at and dominate my opponents. Whereas if you are like an MMA athlete that has to come in a certain weight category, you go, okay, I need to be fit enough. I need to be lean because I don't want my body having to produce, the oxygen output to fuel the fat, like my body fat.
But I need to be strong enough to
sort of out wrestle and dominate my opponent. So I think it's very sport based. But I guess
100%. And then you come down to the argument of, regardless for what sport and what position you play, would you rather be faster and fitter or stronger?
Yeah, and I think
Which
it
is
even like in your sport in basketball, like if
It almost depends on the position, but I find that speed, agility, and a skill set are the most important things.
Well, here's a newsflash: every single sprinter that you can think of lifts weights.
Lots
Cool.
of weights. Yeah.
But we're not arguing between what's better, weights
No.
or...
Yeah.
We're talking about
Cardio.
optimizing.
But you're saying speed is so important for
sprint-
basketball. Lifting weights is gonna help you. your speed.
Sprinters are a good example, right? They actually carry a shitload of muscle tissue, and they are very lean.
It's just dense.
Yeah.
Well, the most important thing for a sprinter is your power to weight
Weight ratio, yeah.
right?
Yep. So I guess today was just a bit of a kick in the butt for everyone. Seasons are coming up. Start to think about what sort of shape and what sort of, optimizing your body fat levels for your sport for the season. And look, if you do need to lose weight, there's plenty of supplements here at Musashi. We've got Shred and Burn Protein. Darren was talking about the importance of protein. We've got Shred Matrix.
Do you know when protein is particularly more important and more recently?
After exercise.
Nah. In more recent times, a lot of people have been using drugs to assist their weight loss.
Drugs like Ozempic.
Yep, I went there.
Oh, I thought you were talking about party drugs.
Oh,
I
well.
got
I think
excited.
and that's more vanity. I find people are using that. Are they doing it in the sports space, or is this generally
Well, I'm curious,
overweight
right?
people
Like,
looking to?
there's probably people that have thought about it in the sports space, right, to help them out. But one thing to consider, if you are considering that, is when you lose the weight, what they've seen in the research is you lose about 60% fat and 40% muscle, which is, pretty bad because muscle is, almost universally beneficial for sports, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's something. If you considering going down that path and you play a sport, I would take get a second
cold,
opinion.
hard look at
No,
yourself.
yeah.
I know a few people who take Ozempic and they don't exercise at all. That's why they do it. They're just lazy.
I think
Yeah.
Pardon my language. Sorry.
Whoa.
that was a bit late on the. That didn't
fix
work.
that sensor.
Yeah, fix that sensor. But
Sorry, strike one.
Yeah. Look, I think it is. It's something that needs to be guided by a doctor, and I think it's for a specific set of people, short term.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very quickly, do you want to go through the Musashi Shred range and just point out the differences between some of them? Yeah,
Yep,
you can
sure.
do that as well. Okay.
Musashi Shred and Burn Protein. Now that is a sort of protein blend with some fat metabolizing ingredients. So essentially, that's a product to gain lean muscle, but there are some fat metabolizing ingredients
So
that can
that's
help.
Right. It's
So
also
you-
got a thermogenic complex. So, thermogenic.
A bit of caffeine.
Thermogenesis means increasing your body temperature, so you actually burn a little bit more calories.
Yeah.
Protein itself is
would
also
still take
thermogenic.
that after exercise. Just be aware there's a fair bit of caffeine in that, so maybe
Yeah,
not too late at night.
Use it as a sort of 2-in-1 protein and fat metabolizer and thermogenic formula. We've got Shred Matrix.
Shred Matrix, when would you take that?
Doesn't really matter when you take that. Some stage
ideally
during the
before
day.
exercise, but pretty much any time of the day. Very, very small amount of caffeine in there from the green tea, but it's got really high doses of fat metabolizing ingredients like carnitine, choline, and inositol.
We also
Yep.
have carnitine on its own. When would you take that?
Yeah.
I take that personally immediately
before
before
exercise.
exercise.
Yeah, before
Yep.
exercise.
Carnitine is useful for turning fat into energy. So, really useful if you want to feel certain types of exercise. And
I find carnitine's good all year round. If you're
Yeah.
playing sport, if you want to utilize body fat as an energy source,
Well, we've spoken about it
Use
before.
it,
I
yeah.
completely agree.
Yeah.
I love it. I notice when I don't take it.
yeah, great for energy.
Fat metabolizer, which also has carnitine, that's throughout the day, isn't it? I normally take that in the morning.
Yeah, so this is really good. If you're already in a calorie deficit, that's probably when people have seen the most benefits. And we've got so many good reviews on this product. But
one of our best-selling supplements, that fat metabolizer, it's really good.
yeah, it is 6 capsules a day, which is a fair bit for some people. But
You know what? Cop it.
yeah,
I think it's one of those products that you will use sort of if you've already lost a little bit of body fat and you're sort of stagnant.
Yeah.
Everyone hits those plateaus. It's something that can help sort of get through that next stage.
Nice. And then pre-workout shred, obviously, take it before you work out, and then it has a few thermogenic ingredients as well.
You
Yeah.
missed the number one shred product that we have,
Shred and burn.
Shred and Burn RTD.
Oh yeah,
The OG.
It's the same thing, dude. Come on.
Well, yeah, it's actually a different type of protein. It's got sodium casein versus
more of a slower digesting
Yeah,
protein
exactly.
sort of
Same
meal
Same
replacement.
proposition.
yeah, keeps you full for a while though. So
Yeah, whereas the powder is more used around training time, faster digesting.
Quick.
quick.
You got 1 minute.
Miyamoto Musashi. What does he
Okay.
say about being optimal for battle?
Okay. Perception and sight are 2 important principles in my strategy. Perception relies on intuition. Sight is based on the physical ability to use the eyes. All right. So if you're training for aesthetics, that's training for sight. But if you're training your body's composition for optimal sports performance, that's training for perception. So you can look at something, and you can look at an athlete. You can visualize.
That's our time. Thank you for joining us.
All right.
Okay. I tried.
Musashi believed that a warrior should cultivate not only physical skills but also mental. No, doesn't. Say
Actually,
anything.
one of the main principles of Musashi's other book, the Dokado, the way of walking alone, is actually
Dokado.
do not pursue the taste of good food. That's one of
But
his
not
things.
not for shredding reasons.
Do not pursue the taste of good food. Good food's going to make you eat more.
As usual, that's a
We
huge
do-
stretch with the Musashi quote.
We do sincerely apologise. Thank you for joining us.
You're not eating for taste. You're eating for performance.
No, food is fuel. All right, thanks, team. Musashi out.
Musashi out.